Good morning again. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you how I made this. Now this was a sample for a wedding ring commission that I got. I think it was about 2 years ago, and they needed to see or have some design ideas, so I came up with this. It's like 2 rails on the edge and texture in the middle. The actual finished article was done in silver. This is brass, machine brass. So let's get on with it. Right, the metal we're going to use is sterling silver, and it's about 5.9 wide, and it's 1.27 thick. The actual wedding rings were 7mm by 1.6. That was for the man. The woman's is a bit thinner than that. So this is the strip of metal we're going to use. It's annealed, it's been rolled, and it's ready for working. It's been through the pickle. So let's get on with it. So the first thing we'll do, as always, we'll level the end or flatten the end, and then we'll turn it up into the size that we need, using as half round pliers. Probably make it to my size. Let's make it a bit smaller, and then we can tap it up. I'm sorry if yesterday's video with the ring mate were a bit long as well, but I wanted to show you the full process, and that's roughly how long it takes. So apologies for that if it went on and on and on, but that's the reality. This is just cutting through the joint a couple of times to make sure that it's nice and tight. If you speed up towards the end, it won't grab the blade and snap it. Still a bit of a gap there, so let's just do a little file. Like I mentioned yesterday, I'm not a professional jeweller. It's just a hobby that I love. And I recommend anybody to have a go at it, should you want to, of course. Right, over to the soldering block. Mix some flux up. Paint all the way around the joint, and we'll get a hard solder ready. It's a decent sized piece because it's a decent sized joint. We'll get it soldered up. Bore the solder up, pick it up with this pick, heat the ring from the back. And it stops that joint from opening up. Get it up to soldering temperature. And pop the solder on. It'll stick right on that joint. And heat it both sides equally. I hope you saw that, run straight through the joint. Make sure it's gone all the way through, which now it has. Right, quench and pickle that, and then we'll carry on. Right, there we go, out of the pickle. I'm ready for straightening up and rounding up. This is a rawhide hammer. I'll use this just to get it nice and round. Now, that doesn't fit me yet, so it needs to be tapped up. This is where the steel hammer comes in. I'm probably a size T and we're on an R. There you go, size T. So far so good. Right, we'll nail that before we carry on. It's nailed again. Before we carry on, we'll make sure it's nice and flat. Just using my steel block. And we'll remove all the tool marks. And any excess solder. If you turn the ring towards you when you're filing like that, you can cover more surface area. I'm hoping these videos do help somebody to at least have a try, but these are very, very basic projects, these. Like I said, I do find some of the more intricate stuff harder, but as we progress with this channel, we'll see how we go on, and I'll show you how to make collets for CZs and make multi-stone rings, pendants, earrings. The possibilities are endless, as I've discovered over the years. Because I never thought that I could have made stuff like this, but here I am doing it. Surprised even myself. Do the edges as well. It's looking a bit rough and ready at the minute, but that'll soon change. I also like to do as well with a half round file, put a comfort edge on, makes it less sharp for the wearer, in this case me. I'll just give a very light file on the inside. This is just to smooth any lumps and bumps. 600 emery and we'll smooth it all off. If you cross direction, when it comes to polishing, it gives you a nicer finish. Gets rid of all those drag lines. It doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, this, because we're going to texture it, which will hide a lot of imperfections, and I absolutely love texturing. It's one of my favourite effects, is texturing. There you go, that's where we are at the moment. It's a very plain basic ring, which in itself looks quite nice, but we're going to have some decoration to it. I've got my dividers set at 1mm or thereabouts. I'm going to scratch a line all the way around on both sides. And this will give us a line to cut to. Something along the lines of that, if you can see that. And with a very thin saw blade, I'm going to follow that line all the way around. Cut very, very carefully on that line. And if you can hear that, that's my dogs barking, or one of them. Evie the Cocker Spaniel. AKA the pain in the backside. Off camera, I've just gone over it with a slightly thicker blade and a little bit of emery just to clean it up a bit, but those are the two lines. What we're going to do next is get our 3 square needle file, which is this triangular one. They call it a 3 square. And we're just going to widen these a little bit. So just run through, make them a little bit more prominent. We're not going too deep. Just to make them stand out a bit and clean them up a bit. Yeah, all good. Give it a little rub over. And we're almost ready to start texturing, which is the fun bit. Right, texturing time. Like I said earlier, there's many different ways to texture, but what we're going to do is use one of these, a ball bear. We could use the Dremel with a spike in the end, but we're not going to do that. We're going to use this 1mm ball bear. In our Micromotor. And then we're just going to go all the way around at quite a fast speed. And texture like that. I'm going quite deep. I've got a good connection on the fingers and the drill on the micromotor to make sure it doesn't slip and damage these rails. So that would be very, very difficult to repair, if not impossible. Find it easier, or I'm finding it easier to do half at a time and then turn it. Get right up to the edge then. And this is running the micromotor at full speed, which I believe is about 35,000 RPM. We'll chuck that in the tumbler for a bit, and then we'll take a look after we've given it a little polish. This was the rotary tumbler. Fantastic bit of kit that. See if I can do this one-handed. There's a polishing compound in here, you just drop that in. Close that up, make sure it's locked, drop it on there. Set them off. Leave it in there for about 10 or 15 minutes. And then put kettle on. That's a magnetic tumbler, that one. Little magnetic pins. Sorry, not magnetic, there's a magnet in the bottom, there's little steel pins in here. And when it spins, you can see the pins lift up. It does the same job as that. So that's better for little settings and stuff like that. That's ideal for this. So back in a bit. And here we are. Out of the tumbler. We don't need to do any more than that if we don't want to. It's polished it quite nicely. I hope we can see that alright. A very, very simple but very effective ring that can be worn by ladies and gents alike. I hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. See you next time.